Hey everyone, in today's video I'd like to show you guys how to take cartoon images like this and turn them into multi-layer stencils like this. I'll show you guys a few little tips and tricks and some really easy ways to separate all the colors into their individual layers. There's also a new script that I'd like to share with you guys that will also be available for all of you to use. So the first thing I'd like to do to separate all the colors into their individual layers is go down to Scripts and Browse. You'll be able to find this script on the Google Drive, and if you can't find the link to it, it'll also be in the description of this video. So click on the color separator, click Load. It might take a little while, but it'll go through each individual layer and separate them all out for you. And what it'll say is it's found 9 different colors, so it's probably combined a couple. But if you go through each one and check them all individually, this one, it's combined this darker brownish area with the one in the mouth. Here we can see it separate out the skin tones. Through here we can see it separate out those really dark blues and dark grays. And here we got the dark red, the gray of the shoe, the red, orangey red on his suit. And then we have the skin tone, we have the black, and then finally the white. So as you can see, it does a pretty good job of separating most of the colors. If the colors are fairly similar, it will tend to combine them, and there might be a little bit of extra work separating them out too. But what you might find is if you do have two colors that are fairly similar on one layer, you can just write a note for yourself to paint this area brown and this area dark red when you actually cut the stencil out, and it might actually save you cutting out too many stencils. Now the other thing you might notice if you zoom in really closely is there is also a little bit of cleanup required. You can sort of see some extra lines in here, but for the most part it does a really good job separating out the colors. So in terms of actually cleaning this up, what I would do is just use the magic wand tool, select most of the areas you just want to keep. So all these major bodies of color, and then just hit Ctrl+Shift+I to select to inverse the selection. Hit delete. Oops, make sure you have the right layer selected when you do that. Ctrl+Shift+I one more time. I'll just zoom in so you can actually see and hit delete, and you can see all those little areas of pixelation all gone. So now we have a really nice clean layer that's pretty much ready for us to add our markers in the corner, and then we can actually export this ready for cutting on a Cricut or however you want to do that. So hopefully this helps you out. I'll actually do another demonstration on maybe this one here. Now this image is just one that I've pulled off the internet. It looks fairly clean, but it is a bit lower in resolution. So I'd like to use this as a demo, as there are a couple of issues you may run into that I'd like you guys to be aware of. So first thing I'll do is I'll just get rid of the white background. I'll just quickly delete that, and then I'll just run the script really quickly. Browse, load that up and let it do its magic. As you can see, it works fairly well. It's separating all of the colors into their different layers. But if you look fairly closely, because this is a low res image, if I switch off the other layers, what you'll notice is in some areas it's done this really weird pixelation thing where it hasn't read the colors properly, and especially in the blue it looks a bit weird, and then the white too. So let's try and make a couple of adjustments to help you guys avoid this sort of issue. So if you find an image is doing that weird pixelation thing, what you can do is apply a little bit of contrast, so adjustments, brightness, contrast, take the contrast all the way up, and then another thing you can do is go to filter, blur, and then add a little bit of surface blur. And what this does is it sort of blends all the colors into each other while still keeping the edges fairly sharp. So I'll probably just do a radius of 8 and 64. Hopefully that will be enough to clean it up. or maybe I'll bring this back down to about 32, I think. Let's try with the value 7 and 33 and see what that does. So I've applied that. Let's try the script, browse, color separator again. And hopefully this time around we get a much cleaner result. So I'll go through each of my layers. Okay, it's definitely helped a little bit, but it's done this weird thing where it's separated my blues into two different regions. So I'm wondering if I just combine this together. There we go. Now I get a nice clean edge around my blue. I get a really nice clean crisp black outline. And I get a nice clean edge to all of my other layers too. Now one other point I'd like to share with you guys is there's two different ways of painting cartoon images. So if you look at the black, this is one layer that you might really struggle with in terms of adding bridges. And there's two different trains of thought. One way is to actually add a little sort of bridge at each of these intersections, which is really time consuming and can kind of be a bit tricky. Another way is to fill in all of these areas with black. I won't do all of them, I'll just do a quick demo for you guys. I'll just fill these in. Actually, a much quicker way would just be to select the outer area. Select these areas too. Control-Shift-I. Get a big brush. Make it really big. And there we go. It's a much quicker way. Alright, now we've got our black base sort of filled in. And then what we can do is if we set up our markers really carefully, is we can switch on all of our other layers and we can actually paint it in this way where our black is sort of at the bottom and we paint all our colors over the top. Now this works really well with spray paints because they're so opaque and they generally cover the black fairly well. So this is the easiest way to do it, and this way you can actually just add a couple of bridges maybe around the eyes or in some other areas of color that you might need them. If you actually want the colors to pop a little bit more, then I would actually say maybe in an image like this. Where's the black layer? It's this one. You know, if you want the colors to really pop, then I would actually go in and, you know, start adding bridges in maybe areas like this with an eraser. Just erase some areas like this, this, and you know, this method would definitely be a lot more time consuming, but the colors would pop a lot more and you'd end up with a, well, arguably nicer artwork. But eventually I would actually recommend that you try both methods and see which one works best for you. I think most people would probably not notice the difference. And if you line up your layers really well, you can also get a really nice crisp black outline using this method too. So hopefully this helps you out in creating cartoon stencils. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will always be happy to help you guys out. And I'll see you guys in the next tips and tricks video.